I think Bill Maher's great. I've used to watch a lot of Bill Maher maybe like 13 years ago. I can't remember how long. I think I was like 18. The show's been on for a long time. And I find Bill Maher to be imperfect, but I agree with a lot of what he says. I always have to mention the criticism about the recession claims because that is just absurd elitism, Bill, to claim that we should welcome a recession to get rid of Trump. I'm sorry. That people kill themselves. Lives are destroyed. But for the most part, I agree. I find that many of the segments I've done, he does similar segments. In fact, he even cited the same study as me about how white liberals have an out-group preference. The only group in the study. Everyone prefers their own family and people and community, except for white liberals who hate white liberals. And white conservatives too, for sure. Here's the point. Bill Maher is a relatively reasonable individual, and sometimes has bad opinions. That's okay, though. He's willing to bring on people like Milo Yiannopoulos onto his show and have the conversation. Now they're coming for him. Here's Fair and Accuracy in reporting the phony liberalism of Bill Maher. Oh, heavens. We knew it was only a matter of time before Bill Maher was called alt-right or whatever. Now he's being called a phony liberal. So it's step one. We are at the door, which is now being opened, Bill, in which you will be called conservative. Despite everything he does and says, media still call HBO host a liberal. Why, yes, because he supports liberals, most liberal positions. He is an atheist. He pushes back on religion. But something changed, and I don't know what or when. But it was solidified with the election of Donald Trump. And now the past left and right is fractured. And elements of the left and the right have merged on both sides, and it's weird. Never-Trumpers joining with voting for Hillary Clinton. Occupy Wall Street activists and former Bernie supporters now voting for Trump. Don't tell me, but I will tell you this. Bill Maher, you've landed square on the right. Just like everybody else who is liberal, who believes in liberal policy positions, but pushes back on the fundamentalist nature, the dogmatic nature of the insane left. Let's read. Fair says, Bill Maher rose from being an edgy, opinionated comedian to becoming one of the most influential and recognizable faces in our media. His political talk show, Real Time with Bill Maher, has been on HBO since 2003, spanning 17 seasons with over 500 episodes to date. Real Time continues to be one of the most popular shows on cable, drawing in more than 4 million viewers per episode. I do not believe that's true. Maybe with reruns, because I know like the ratings for the night, it's like he's done like 1.5 to 2. But typically I've seen 1.5. I guess with reruns though. But hey, I'm happy. I'm absolutely excited that Bill Maher can get up on his show and call the Democrats crazy. Thank you. We need that. We do. I think the real issue is not that Bill Maher is a phony liberal. I think he's an actual liberal. I think he's an actual liberal. I should say he's what we used to call liberals in this country. People like me. I agree with a ton of what Bill Maher says. I disagree with the elitist portion of it, right? And I think he does have TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. That's fine. But I grew up watching his show. And so here we are now. It was only a matter of time. Now, here's what they're going to do. They can't come out and say Bill Maher is conservative because Bill Maher has a long and storied history as a liberal. You can't do that. His audience would revolt. What they can do is say, he's a phony liberal. Now they've entered into your mind that he might not be completely liberal. This is how things work, okay? When it comes to social engineering, and I want to stress the definition of social engineering typically has to do with human hacking. It's not changing society as a whole. It's usually on an individual level. When you want to change someone's opinion of something, you can't overcome their reasonable boundaries. So the way I explain this is, if I told somebody to, eat food off the floor, simple example, they would say, no, that's gross. If I just outright said, it's actually not, it's completely healthy, they would say, you're nuts, because they have a reasonable boundary. However, you can inch them to the point where they're sitting on the floor and eating food off the floor. If you do something like, have you ever tried, eating off the counter after you clean it, right? Clean your counter, get it spotless, and then eat off it. Trust me, you might actually convince someone to do something small, not a big change. Instead of using regular plates, use paper plates. Use a paper towel. Just use a paper towel for your sandwich. You don't need a plate. You can even do this. Hey, it's bad for the environment to even non-temporary plates, I guess, I don't need to call them ceramic, are bad for the environment. It's waste. You should use paper plates, right? Because they can be recycled. Then they switch. Then you say paper plates are too thick. You should use paper towels. And then you finally got them eating off the counter. You see the point I'm trying to make, okay? I don't want to go too far. You get it. One step at a time. They can't come out and say Bill Maher is a hardcore conservative. They can say he's a bit reactionary. Okay, he may be a liberal, but he's definitely reactionary. Then they say, well, he's a phony liberal. And they go even further than that. So first, the title of it is The Phony Liberalism of Bill Maher. Okay, now they haven't told you Bill Maher is conservative. They haven't told you he's a libertarian or anything like that. Because if they did, you would then be like, what? Get out of here, Bill Maher. I'm not even going to read it. So they call him a phony. That's all they're saying. He's just a phony. Now, you read through the article, and it brings us to the next attack on Bill Maher, where they say, where is it at? Okay, I am a libertarian. There it is. Halfway down the article, indeed, when asked, he has been explicit about his ideology. Quote, I'm a libertarian, he said to Rolling Stone. I would be a Republican if they would, which means that I like the Barry Goldwater Republican Party, even the Reagan Republican Party. His choice in naming the two figures whose mission was to upend the liberal order, often through appeals to racism and white nationalism, is telling. And there it is. They start you off with something light, phony liberal. They bring you to libertarian, and in the same paragraph, call him a racist and white nationalist. Boom, there it is. You see how they've walked you there. They can't, imagine if there were an article saying Bill Maher supports the party of racism and white nationalism. Nobody would believe it. They would be like, you are nuts. This is how it's done. Quote, I want a mean old man to watch my money, he added, because government is a sieve that takes as much money as it can and gives it away, usually needlessly. Yet corporate media continue to describe him as a liberal. This is an excellently crafted argument, in my opinion. I'm not saying they're wrong. That's their opinion. Their opinion can be whatever they want it to be. But I think this is crafted perfectly to bring in people who are fans of Bill Maher and walk them through the filtration system that leaves them thinking Bill Maher is a white nationalist. I am not exaggerating. They say that. Appealing to white nationalism is in the article. Bill Maher is alt-right. That's where they're walking you through. And they're doing a really, really, really good job of it. Let me explain another thing to you. I often talk about how you change people's opinions. And there's 3 steps in the basic principles of like a social engineering on opinion. It is the rapport, the extreme, and the turn. Those are the 3 parent umbrellas. It can be very complicated, but the rapport would be, if you want to change someone's mind, and this is a truth, you can't approach them as enemies. You have to have a rapport with them. So in the manipulative strategy, what you do is you agree. You agree with them. So let's say you meet somebody and they say, I don't like they say, I love chocolate ice cream. You agree with them. You high five them and say, chocolate is the best. It is absolutely the best, right? Nothing can beat chocolate. You've now told them, I'm just like you. This lowers their barriers. The next step is the extreme. The extreme is something they cannot agree with. The extreme would be something like, I think chocolate is so good, I would literally eat chocolate ice cream if you stuffed dirt and human waste in it. That's how good chocolate is. They're going to be like, oh, what? No way. And then you say, okay, I guess not every chocolate ice cream is good. It's that simple. They still leave that conversation liking chocolate ice cream. But what you've done is you basically incepted them into the idea that chocolate is not perfect. You've made it their idea that there is a limit to what chocolate could be. Think about it in terms of politics. Barack Obama. Someone says, I love Obama. The first thing you do is you high five and say, me too. I love Obama too. Now that they think you're the same, you present them with an extreme. You say something like, you know, the best thing Obama's ever done, and then cite something horrifying, which I won't do. But I'll give you an example, like when he drone striked a family of a small village of 23 women and children, killing the children. You praise that extensively. I love how Obama did all this. Man, it was so amazing. Dropping those bombs, body parts flying. Oh, it was amazing. You say it's so extreme and intense, the person's going to be like, that's disgusting and horrifying. What? That's not, no, absolutely, it's terrible. And then you made it their idea. You say, okay, well, fine. I mean, maybe it's not perfect. And that's how you inch someone. So now let's look at this article. They start you off by saying he's a phony liberal. They present to you his support of, where is it? Of white, okay, I went too far. They present to you how he supports white nationalism, there it is, and racism. That he's appealing to that part, it's what he really wants. And then they walk you down and say he's just really, ultimately Maher has built up an impressive following and continues to espouse snarky elitist hot takes weekly for HBO, earning $10 million per year. Call him a racist, a bigot, or an astute businessman. Just don't call him a liberal. You see what they've done? It's an excellent version of this. You enter. Bill Maher is a phony. You get to the middle. He said he was a libertarian and he supports these politicians. Those politicians support white nationalism. A bit too extreme. You're going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Bill Maher does not support white nationalism. And then you get down and say, well, fine, but just don't call him a liberal. You see how they've done it. Bill is next on the chopping block. This is actually a really, really well-crafted article. It's you know, I wonder if this individual at Fair is familiar with the tenets of social engineering, because they've flowed perfectly. You start him off light. He's a phony liberal. He even might be alt-right and a white nationalist. And then when the average person is shocked and says, get out, you're nuts, you say, there it is. Well, fine. Just don't call him a liberal. And then the average person goes, yeah, sure, fine, but he's not a white nationalist. Exactly. Look at that. Bill Maher, you're up next, and they will not support you. You are an obstacle in the way for the new wave of the far-left identitarian political party, and they will take you out next. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around. Next segment will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Podcast at 6:30. I will see you all next time.